Okay, Marvelous Designer is an awesome software that a lot of ArcViz artists have been using recently to do all their cloth simulations. So I'm going to give you a brief introduction to that and show you the tools that architectural artists will want to use. So in Max, we just see what's called an avatar in Marvelous Designer, but really this is just a chamfered box and a chamfer box, the same one, shown at different angles, and we're going to export it as an FBX. Export selected, FBX. Now I'll show you. That's all we have to do in Max. I mean, you want to make this basically the size of object that you want to make. We're going to use this, we're going to apply fabric onto the outside of this with wrinkles and things like that. So we're going to turn it into a cushion. But all this is a kind of a proxy object. That's the basic shape and size that we want. So in here, let's delete this one and import FBX, and this will import it as an avatar. Make sure it's in inches if that's the proper unit for you. Okay, we can place it. We'll place this one a little bit off the ground. Make sure that one is facing the right direction for us here so we can see it over there. Okay, I'm getting this placed in here so that we can see basically the orthographic of it. Okay, there we go. So now we're seeing our avatars in here at two different sides so we can get the basic size and shape we need, which is great. One thing to keep in mind, this is a 3D view over here, and this is a 2D pattern view window or viewer. And over here you can change the gizmo to be world coordinate. Okay, that's how I was rotating around the world z-axis. Okay, and there's a move tool, and there's a regular gizmo. Okay. So when you select on it, you can rotate it like normal. Okay. Now, what we want to do, though, this is where the magic happens in Marvelous Designer. We go into our patterns over here. So this is a basic square pattern. And we'll just draw it, the basic shape of our avatar, like that. And you'll see that will actually turn into a piece of fabric. And if I hit simulate, that'll drop to the ground, and it will have a really nice cloth simulation of that piece of fabric. We actually want to undo that. We can select this, right click on it, and reset 3D arrangement. And what we'll want to do is actually get it into place on this cushion here so that it will react with that avatar. Okay, and when I loaded Marvelous Designer, I made it so that the controls work basically like 3D Studio Max with the tumbling and everything like that. That will be helpful for you if you do that. Okay, so now we need another one of these. We can right click on it, copy, paste. Okay, there's another one. We want to place that one as well under here. Make sure that's up above the ground. And then we probably want to rotate it to 180 degrees, like that. Let's simulate again, see what happens. Okay, they both fall, and you can see it reacts with that avatar. So let's select both of those by holding down Control and reset. You can see Control F is the hotkey as well. Okay, now what we're going to do is take some other small rectangles, and we're going to sew them onto these larger rectangles to make our cushion. Okay, so just make the basic sizes. Let's get those into place. So this wants to be placed basically where it's going to go, close to where it's going to go. See if I can get those all into place. So that one will go there. It's important that all the fabric is facing the right direction, because you'll see it'll try to fold in on itself if it's reversed, like a reverse normal type of thing. So we'll get that all figured out too. Let's place these generally in the right places. They don't have to be exact, because when it simulates, it'll move into place. Okay, I'm going to pause the video while I place all this. Okay, if you look right now and we simulate, everything's just going to fall to the ground, except for that one because it hits our avatar. So let's undo that. The way we fix all that is by sewing it together. Okay, that's where Marvelous Designer really excels. So we just use this one. Okay, and we just start sewing things together. And our sewing lines will show up over here. You can see that one is rotated. So what you can do is edit the sewing, Okay, so this is twisted over here. You can see that. If you click on this, in the Edit Sewing tool, click on it, hit Reverse Sewing. Okay, now it's straight. And actually it looks like it's going to the bottom, which isn't right. So we would need to rotate this object to be like that, right there. Now it's right. Now if we simulate just those two, you'll see they sew together and then sit onto there, which is kind of cool, but not what we want still. We need to sew some other sides onto it. So let's make sure this one's sewed. If you select it here, let's do this. Sewing, so that's this one. You can see that little blue dot there where I've got it selected. Let's try that again. Okay, that needs to be reversed. And that looks right. Can keep adding lines here. So this one needs to go to the opposite side of this thing over here, which should put it up into there. It probably needs to be reversed like that. Yep, just like that. And then this one, blue dot right there. And we need to connect it to there. So that one's going to be this to there. And you can see that it'll reverse itself when you create it, depending on where you click. So those are all connected now. There's still some more sew lines we need to do. This end right there to that end. Nope, to this end up here. Okay, so we're a little ski-wampus here. But that's going to go up to there. And it needs to be reversed. Just like that. Okay, we're going to go all the way through and do all these. Okay, you can see I've got all those corners sewn now. We're almost ready, but the last one is this to that. So same thing again. And finally, we've got all our sewing. Oh, this one's wrong too. So I'll go ahead and fix that. Okay, now we're all set. Had to go in and edit some of those sewing lines and redo them. Now everything should work as long as we don't have anything flipped around or anything like that. Let's simulate. Should all come together right there. You can see it gets kind of droopy on the bottom, which isn't good. Also, it looks like we have some reverse normals on the 3 outside faces. These ones. Okay, so let's stop simulating. Let's undo. Let's make sure these get rotated the right way. And then we have to change all that sewing again, of course. Okay, phew. After all that, we've got our sewing all ready to go, I think. Here I am telling you how cool Marvelous Designer is and how simple and easy it is. And we're spending all our time sewing. We can make that a lot easier by laying out these a lot cleaner and nicer. But that's okay. It's good to learn some of the tools anyway. Let's simulate. See what we get. Everything now is facing the right direction. Everything is attaching onto our avatar properly. But now we've got all this droop down here. So what do we do about that? Well, that's where Marvelous Designer really shines. We can select all our fabric panels. Let's do some pressure to make it all suck in towards that thing and towards that cushion. This is kind of working. You can see that there's other settings here too. Shrinkage. Okay. Shrinkage warp. Okay. Now that's pretty nice. So that's telling it how much that fabric is able to shrink and stretch, basically. You can also move this up more toward the corner. You can also pin it on the corner by getting out this pin tool, which is right there. Move and pin, basically. Okay, and that breaks your thing down into a mesh for you. You can tell it where to go. That's looking like a pretty nice cushion there. We've got to do some more pinning over here maybe. And we could go along the bottom and pin that too, like right there. And you can see it's actually simulating while we do this, which is cool. Okay, then you can, let's see, let's go out of that. Okay, so there's our cushion, and those pins are going to actually stay right where they are, which isn't necessarily what we want. You can also delete all the pins that you've created by going to Context Menu, 3D Garment, delete all pins, or hitting Control W. Then continue the simulation and it'll go back onto that body. Now you could mess with this for a long time to get the seams all working properly. You can always go back into these fabrics and adjust their properties, make them shrink more, shrink less. One cool thing you can do, let's see, if you do this back to 100, see a lot of wrinkling going on. You can actually just take these shapes and edit them in real time, like that, and it will simulate. So if you wanted to add more wrinkles, like that there, now it's going to fold over this edge more because we made it bigger, right? And you can also go in and make this have a little less pressure so it doesn't suck so hard to that avatar. You could see you could pin those seams into place there if you wanted. We could even take this and make it really long, like that. Continue to simulate. Okay, so that gets some weird stuff going on. You can take edges and just lift them up while it's simulating to add some variance into there. Maybe some wrinkling. You can see because of the negative pressure, it's really shrinking into our avatar. If you give it positive pressure, it will adjust accordingly. And you can adjust each one of these things individually or all together or whatever. Let's put that other piece back, obviously. Like so. A couple other features to take note of are the facts that you can take this and make it, instead of triangulated, you can make it, if you go into miscellaneous, you can make it mesh type quad. Okay, you can up the density of those quads by changing the particle distance here. So if you change that to 10, it'll give you a much more dense, you can see the computer's trying to think about it now. It'll give you a much more dense mesh here, and it'll take a lot more time to calculate, but it'll be much more accurate on the cloth simulations. Okay, what we want to do with ours is bring this seam in. Okay, I've basically taken it back to the no pressure. Now it's all just kind of bunching on the bottom. I took off all the shrinkage, and you can see it's just laying really flat. So I think now just turn up the shrinkage weft, and then you'll get it kind of stretching onto that thing a little bit. Kind of like that. And there's our nice pillow. Now, this was just to show you some of the basic tools. You could go much further with this to make it much more fancy. Put piping in, all these kind of things. Make sure, pin corners and make sure everything's exactly right. I'm not going to go that far because it's not necessary for the point of this video. But what we will do is show you how to export it. And you can just export. And remember, you can export it as quads. And it's all going to be UVW unwrapped just like this right here. It's going to use that for your UVW unwrapping, which is kind of a super nice bonus. So let's see. We can select all and export as OBJ selected, or we could export as an FBX or just an OBJ. Let's do the FBX again. Okay, looks good. Now in Max, we can import it. Importing. Let's make sure everything looks right. There it is. Pretty nice. Nice little cushion. Looks very organic. Okay, and you can put another turbo smooth on it if you like. You could add some piping to it. And you can see the model is actually pretty clean. Not perfect with the edge loops and everything, but pretty clean. One awesome benefit is that if you go into your unwrap UVW modifier right there, and if you go into the open UVW editor, you will see that all the pieces are here for you. So if you pack them now by just doing a quick pack, let's select them all, quick pack, and there they are, all our pieces perfectly unwrapped, ready to make a texture. Okay, so that's kind of a really nice bonus. Each fabric panel we made is perfectly unwrapped already. You can see the seams there. And of course you can put a turbo smooth on it to smooth out the rough edges like that. And there's a nice pillow. Like I said, you can adjust it a lot. But you can see the difference between this pillow and this avatar we made. And in a detailed scene, this is going to look very, very much more realistic. So there you go. There's some of the basic tools of Marvelous Designer. Now let's take it and make some specific objects for our scene with it.